What's happening? It is week 7 of the Friday night recap. Kenny Matthews, Professor Diggs. I'm the wizard who literally just walked in the door. Usually when we do this show, I've do a little research on the games that happened today. I have no research except for one Salina game, which we won't even get to for 45 minutes or 35 minutes, however long it takes to get to it. But we do have games to talk about. Diggs, was at the same game I was at. Where were you at, Kenny?
I was at Louisville and Flower Mound tonight, and Fighting Farmers put it on pretty good in the first half.
Put it on. Yeah. All right, well, let's get started, Diggs, unless you want to chat a little bit, because the game that I was looking at as I was coming home was the Heath game. But let's start in 3-6A, where Lake Ridge scored 10 points and then gave up 62 straight, and then scored another one at the end just for giggles there. Legacy takes down Boswell and Mansfield with Crowley. Look, if North Crowley's 1 and Lake Ridge is 2 in that district, that bodes well for 3 of the 4-6A teams. I can tell you that right now. Diggsy, any thoughts on this?
You know, this really hurts Saginaw Boswell, because Boswell, if they're trying to get into the playoffs, they only beat Crowley by 1, remember that. So they're not going to win any sort of tiebreakers. So now Crowley and Mansfield Legacy basically straight up is going to be for the last playoff spot. I think we've kind of got District 3-6A figured out, because we know we're going to have North Crowley and Lake Ridge at the top of the district. Mansfield now beating Crowley looks like a solid 3. Give me Crowley versus Mansfield Legacy for that 4th spot.
All right. There you go. What happened in 4-6A this week, man? This is some big time blowouts in there. But that Byron Nelson Keller game was pretty sweet, man. Right down to the wire. Byron Nelson pulls it out by 3, but the top parts in that district keep on beating them down.
Just seems like Keller could never get over the hump. Just seems like year after year they struggle to try to get on that 3rd and 4th, and now again stuck at it again now. Uphill battle.
And we keep talking about LD Bell. Well, they didn't play this week, and we didn't have, other than the Byron Nelson Keller game, we really didn't have any close games. I am most shocked about Keller Central. We talked about Northwest. They beat LD Bell last week. Now Keller Central, I don't know if they control their own destiny at this point, but they keep putting win after win on the board. Trinity had that big, statement win that Byron Nelson we were expecting. So District 4-6A, and I think we would be remiss if we didn't say shout out to Riley Dodge winning his 100th game. I saw Des Bryant gave him some love with that. He has scored 109. Think about that. 109 as in his record keeping right now. That is awesome.
He has not been coaching that long. Yeah, he hasn't been coaching that nearly as long to get 100 wins. I mean, it'd take you 8 decades to get it in Carter Riverside. Go ahead.
I think Des said he cost him a state championship.
That's true. 5-6A, Marcus tried to give him back a little bit. They were up 21-0, and they gave 21, and they got 21 more. That's the way they do it. Capel had a little problem with Little Elm. See, Capel may be falling down a little bit in Dixie's rankings even more this week despite the win. And then Hebron gave Geyer a game for a little bit in the first half, and then Geyer pulled away. Louisville did what they had to Flower Mound. Another loss for my Jags.
Jags score the opening drive, then give up 42 straight.
I keep being impressed with Denton Geyer. I mean, this is a team that seems like they've figured it out. I mean, just bodying Capel, bodying Hebron, back and forth. I think I'm going to give them the edge right now over Louisville when they play. So I think that's going to be a very fun game when it happens. But, man, what's going on with Marcus? That's your team, Ward. It's like they can play up with anyone. They can play up with Louisville and down to Braswell. What's going on there, Ward?
I don't know, man.
This is your backyard. You should know. This is what we pay you for, Ward.
You don't pay me enough to figure out what's going on there. Why they can't hold on to leads like that. They've already played their – pretty much out of the playoffs. That one game is on Halloween night, by the way. Geyer and Louisville, for those interested in it. Plano West takes a big loss today to McKinney. Big loss.
Who wins when Plano West loses? It's this guy right here. Come on. Plano East is, I keep talking about how they're in control of their own destiny. They had the week off. They're preparing for Rock Hill next week on a sweet Thursday game. So we'll have Friday chaos next week. And now, if you think about it, Plano West has 4 losses effectively, if you assume Plano or if you assume Allen and Prosper are going to be losses. Princeton is in the driver's seat with basically only having 3 losses getting to that point. There is still a lot to play. There is a scenario, Ward, where 5 losses could get you into the playoffs.
That is true. And that Allen Prosper game that everybody's waiting for, we're still 2 weeks away from that. It'll be happening. Just hold your horses. We'll figure it out. Teddy Ballgame was out there at Jesuit to see what Lake Highlands had for Jesuit, and they had a lot for him. Berkner with the big win over MacArthur. Berkner gets Lake Highlands next week. Pierce, big shutout win. The rest of the Richardson teams got the Irving school teams, and that's what happens when that happens. You see it right here on the scoreboard, right, what happens there.
Jesuit's still having scoring issues. It's been the theme all year.
It was a shootout for a half with Lake Highlands. It was 42-21, and then kind of, I feel like Lake Highlands cruised in the second half. I feel a little bit. I know it's weird to say they lost 52-21. I feel better about them, but I think with Richardson and Berkner, because they've already beat Pierce, I think they may be able to score enough. We'll find out. But at District Ward, I know you have no problem getting scores in.
No, absolutely not. Bowie with I was at the Bowie Martin game. I was at South Grand Prairie and Lamar. Boy, I think Coach DeLay may have had some issues with Coach Skinner in that game because they ran a fake punt up 44-0. I don't know what was going on there. 43-0. I won't even dig into that. Halton, I'd love to see the stats. Talk to me about Federico. What happened? Who knows anything? Tell me something. Nothing? Arlington takes care of Sam Houston. Listen, it's going to be Bowie and South Grand Prairie for this district title, but that Bowie defense doesn't look like they can stop much. Maybe South Grand Prairie is trying to show something here by causing 5 turnovers and shutting out Lamar.
South Grand Prairie, they can rush. South Grand Prairie can rush the football too. I think that they'll try to. I think that's going to be the thing. Can Bowie stop Mr. Josiah from rushing the football or not?
Good question. Dick stays trashing on sick.
We're not even in 5A yet. We're
listen,
trashing on other teams right now. Come on. And I don't think, Ward, that South Grand Prairie, I know it's weird to say a 53-0 game does not look like a 53-0 game, but when you have 5 turnovers, there's
a lot of short fields. You're right.
Yeah, Lamar had almost 400 yards in that game, and they couldn't get it across the goal line, and that matters at the end of the day. But South Grand Prairie hasn't magically fixed their defense with that. They still gave up 400 yards, and we talked about it in all of our social media podcasts, the warm-up and whatnot. What does South Grand Prairie do? They generate turnovers, and that's exactly what they did in that game. But can they slow down a team like Bowie? I still think that's going to be first 1 to 50.
Yeah, and that's week 11 right there. It's the last game of the year. How about Rowlett? Huh? Where's the guy that jacks with you about Wiley all the time, Diggy? Where's he at? He's like, hey, watch out for Wiley. We're going to watch Wiley not even make the playoffs if this keeps up. Saxey with the big win. The Naaman Force gets beat by Lakeview Centennial. I tell you get Lakeview Centennial off of Friday or off of Thursday games, and they're something sweet. Wiley seems to be the class of this district right now.
Yeah, I think so too. Saxey seems to be trying to get back into it, but I'm not sure. It may be too late for Saxey.
We're at a point right now because of Rowlett, because of Lakeview Centennial. We got Naaman and Wiley. There's going to be meaningful games later on. Saxey is not necessarily in this thing because Saxey's already lost to Wiley. And now Wiley's lost to Rowlett. We have Lakeview Centennial with the big win over Naaman. Wiley lost to Naaman last week. It is a struggle bus right now in 9-6A unless you're anybody but Wiley East. And remember, Wiley East struggled with North Garland for a while. And that Saxey-North Garland game was very competitive for the first half. So I still think North Garland may do something crazy to intervene in this district. But 9-6A, there is a lot going on. But if you want to talk about a district that's got a lot going on that we have to unpack, here it is, ladies and gentlemen.
This is my favorite district by far. Only thing I don't like about it is that I live in Flower Mound and y'all play at 7:30. And I guess if you don't want me on the show, then I'll go out there and shoot those games. I'm sure we got Fleener, Shavers, all of them would say, yeah, we don't need you to be on this stinking show. Come on out here and get these games. Because how about the Road Warriors at Heath? They take down Highland Park, they take down North Forney, and they gave up a big lead against North Forney and still pulled that thing out in overtime. Forney out on the road against Longview with the huge win. Just now there's 5. I mean, Royce City with a big, nice win over Tyler Legacy, but those 2 teams I don't think are playoff bound. And then we have the other 5. Somebody tell me who's in. What are the 4 out of those 5 teams? Tell me something.
Well, Forney wins the turnover battle today at Longview. That's the reason why they win. They caused 2 turnovers, didn't turn the ball over. Longview had 459 yards of total offense against them and still come up with a big L. That's a big win for Forney.
I think all this is going to tell us right now is nobody's going to go through this district undefeated. We're probably talking 2 losses is your window. You can have 2 losses and still be first, second, third, depending on how things go.
Which is wild for a 7-team district, right?
Right, but you get that 3rd loss, and you at that point you got to do something. Right now we got Forney beating Longview. We got Rockwall Heath beating North Forney. We already know that North Forney beat Forney, so it's all a crazy mess. And so Rockwall, I feel like Rockwall is the loser right now because Rockwall has got to be perfect going forward because we've talked about they may be that odd team out. And now that Forney has beat Longview, it kind of puts Forney, you got to put Forney in that top 4 right now. And so who you can't take Heath out. You can't take North Forney out. You can't take Longview out. That's Rockwall. That's it. That's your only team left. Well, remember, they beat North Crowley earlier this year.
That's true. Rockwall's heading into Forney next week. That'll be a humongous game. Of course, every game in this district's humongous. I don't know why.
That game, that Rockwall Heath North Forney game, ended at 11:05 in Kaufman County. That was kind of on my list of games that I might have wanted to see. There was no chance.
We would have been doomed. Without Dixie, this thing don't happen, right, Kenny? All right. How about this Duncanville win over DeSoto? My man Dixie sold me out on the podcast, told me, why are you picking Duncanville? Tell me now.
And you had no answer. Let's be honest. You had no answer.
I gave you a little answer. I said it was a feeling. And
I like their name. It's
when did I say
that? They have the D on the jersey.
This dude's
you couldn't give me any factual information.
I gave you all kinds of information.
You didn't tell me about Maximus the Great throwing 7 touchdowns. Didn't come up with that one.
He has the great receivers for sure. Thea's got a ton of touchdowns.
350 yards passing against DeSoto too. 22 of 32. Not bad work. 23 of 32.
Does that speak on the Eagles secondary, or what does it speak on? Because he wasn't throwing 380 against these other squads.
No, he wasn't.
Mad Max is what Derek
actually would have bounced back.
Now, Derek had been waiting for us to give us that score, man, and we gave it to you, man.
I think the question we have to kind of figure out now is we have to figure out tiebreakers because you have 3 teams that are all going to basically tie each other, are going to end up being 6-1. How does that work with their seeding? Because different districts do different things. Are they going to hold the Duncanville-Waxahachie score as it is, and therefore Waxahachie is going to be your first seed and Duncanville is going to be your second seed? Or when you put it in a 3-way tie, all of a sudden Duncanville jumped up over Waxahachie because Waxahachie only won that game by 1. So we're going to have to get into some DEC meetings minutes, Ward. You got to go down to Duncanville ISD, Ward. Get us the minutes.
I'll let Kenny make some phone calls. Kenny's got the connections. Kenny will make the phone calls. He's on
I'll make the phone calls.
He's on it like Neil Bonnet. Now, are you worried about the struggle Ryan had with Richland or no? Talk to me.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That scares you, doesn't it? It scares you for
playoff season. On Richmond.
Yes. Exactly. That's a good point, Kenny. Everybody has been scoring on them, and 30 is a lot of points, but they needed almost every single one of those points to pull out a win.
As we're going to talk about when we get to 7-5A, Joshua's been like the defense that they stick around. No matter who they play, it's going to be like an under 15, under 20-point scoring game. You expect that with Denton Ryan as well, because Denton Ryan has this kind of level of defense, kind of like Aledo, that you think should be able to shut down just about anybody. I'm getting very worried about Denton Ryan, and as we're about to see a team that, as Saginaw fans are already starting to get excited about, I'm selling my Arlington Heights stock. They're going to have a free fall this week. Yeah. Let's go ahead and put that up just so we can talk about this because they gave up 50 points to Saginaw.
A 50 burger,
you cannot be my number 5 team doing that.
No, you can't give up 50, man. No, I just did a whole defense. Did I jinx them by doing that whole defensive piece 2 weeks ago? Probably so.
That's a whole lot of basketball scores.
Pascal put up 66. And Pascal and Wyatt are scoring points, so they're playing Arlington Heights. All of a sudden, their defense that can't be scored on, they got all the scoring that they didn't give up the first 4 weeks in one game.
Is OD Wyatt now the favorite in this district?
It looks like it.
It looks like it.
I mean, given they've already beat Saginaw and Chisholm Trail, I don't trust that they can beat Arlington Heights just straight up. But I mean, they deserve the benefit of the doubt. And again, talk about Coach Chris loses his best player. It's still they find a way. That is resilience, Ward.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to go do a story on that. You got to send you back to Fort Worth.
Heading back to Fort Worth. Figure this out, man. All right, what about 5A Division I, Kenny? Big win for Wakeland. They're shutting out Heritage. Boy, Heritage, we were sold a bill of goods on Heritage this past year, so we don't really talk too much about them much anymore. Reedy with a huge win over McKinney North, and Frisco took care of Sherman.
Is Frisco the third or the fourth best team in that district?
I think Reedy is definitely number 3. I know Reedy is kicking themselves for that loss against Wakeland that Ward and I saw. I know some of the people there are like, we're better than Wakeland. We're better than Wakeland. Well, unfortunately, Wakeland's got that win over them. I think Frisco is number 4. I've heard, I don't like playing the rumor thing. I've heard Tatum Bell may no longer be on the team, and we've had that drama, and that kind of reflects in the scores with Sherman and Wakeland lately. But man, it is a bad time over in Frisco Heritage. Big win. We saw Lebanon Trail. I told you, keep an eye on them. That's a big win to beat Frisco Centennial. Not a playoff defining win or anything, but just a big win for that program because I know they're struggling right now. They really wanted that win against McKinney North. So getting the win against Frisco Centennial, I think, is going to be big for them.
Yeah, I agree on that one. Kenny, this is your district. You want to go through these scores real quick?
My Trojans, big. I think that Alex Lovestrain is kind of a quarterback that's kind of been getting unnoticed a little bit. He had 5 TD passes and a rushing TD yesterday, almost a perfect quarterback rating. They demolished W2Y. W2Y could not get anything done offensively or defensively against Newman Smith. Big one coming up, though, with West Mesquite. I mean, now the trifecta is going to happen between Carrollton Creekview, West Mesquite, and Newman Smith. They're all about to play each other in back-to-back weeks. That's going to determine who's going to win this district.
Now, you've seen them all. You've seen them all recently, Kenny. To me, I think I got to put North Mesquite over WTY. Do you feel that same way after kind of seeing them the last couple
Absolutely. WTY is very small on the offensive line and defensive line. They can't stop anybody.
Is Abeke not getting any yardage at all for them?
He did not get any much yesterday at all. But I don't think that they were so far behind, they really couldn't run the football. They tried to do pass mode, and that's not what W2 White can do right now. Even though Paredes, I thought, was going to be a pretty decent quarterback this year, but, man, they looked putrid last night.
I was not wrong about Saginaw. I was wrong about Arlington Heights. Saginaw still is going to have a struggle bus making the playoffs because they've already lost, to Wyatt. So I've not been wrong about Saginaw, but Arlington Heights definitely overrated. Big one for Saginaw. Joshua Greek, man, just had himself a night for Saginaw. Just a fantastic game. And I was telling you, Ward, when we're talking about defense, these Joshua scores are just crazy. Yeah. And I think this may buffer Joshua right on out of the playoff race.
That really shocks me there, especially after Kenny's just done something on Braden Robinson. And he obviously couldn't do much against that Joshua defense there.
Yeah, it's going to look real good in a couple weeks.
Tyler back to scoring a bunch of points again. They just needed Cleburne to come in.
Bounce back against Burleson Centennial.
Now,
if Midlothian can beat Red Oak, they get that loss back that they had against Joshua. Triple overtime as it may be. And now Joshua is sitting there trying to find where they're going to get their wins, looking at Highland Park left on their schedule as a winnable game. It may be lights out for Joshua.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. All right, Division II, Argyle took care of business on a Thursday, but how about Summit over Timberview? Man, everybody talks about throwing them records out when the Mansfield ISD teams played against each other, but it's exactly what happened there. And then the Connolly picks up a big win against Burles.
Just when we thought Timberview was getting their footing, boom, they get stubbed again here tonight by Summit. You just diminish what they did last week by losing this week to Summit.
Yeah, it completely flips this district around, and I think it hurts Arlington Seguin at this point, because before we were kind of talking about, we just think it might be Arlington Seguin and Summit for that last playoff spot. Now Seguin, even if they beat Summit, now they're getting into a tiebreaker, because that's going to bring Timberview down, depending on how Colleyville Heritage goes. I mean, it is going to be week after week trying to figure out. We could see 4 teams tie at this point, like a 5-2, 5-3 kind of a situation for maybe 2 or 3 playoff spots in this district. So that's what the Summit beating Timberview does to this district. Yeah. It is going to be an interesting battle. It's going to be messy. And that's kind of, we keep talking about the parity statewide, area-wide going on. I know, Ward, if we're doing Houston, we'd be talking about CE King and Summer Creek. Yep. It is crazy how much parity we're seeing right now. And it's going to come down week after week. Who is winning? What are going to be those key matchups? We're going to have to get a scoreboard and a standings things up here to try to dissect all this as we get going forward.
You're going to put AI to the test.
Do that for us.
You're going to put AI to the test. And I ain't talking about Iverson.
Split screen.
This district isn't very messy. I think we know the 4 teams, or at least we will after next Thursday, because Lovejoy plays Emerson. But the way Anna beat Emerson, they even beat them worse than they beat Lovejoy. So whoever wins between Lovejoy and Emerson, that's your 4th team in this district. And next week we also get Walnut Grove and Anna. I'm talking a lot about next week, because this week these scores are a little bit out of control, except for Denison against Memorial, who was believe it or not, 18 points is not out of control compared to what we got in the other games.
Does Walnut Grove score 70 every week?
It seems like it, but they're finally going to play the big dogs coming up here in this district. So
I'm going to go check that game out, Ward. I'll just go ahead and pencil me in, get me in for Anna and Walnut Grove next week. I'm just going to stay in Prosper. Thursday night, Plano East and Rock Hill. Friday night, Walnut Grove. Coach Smith loves me. We'll take care of it. But I do think that Anna score kind of lets us know Lovejoy's probably going to be pretty safe as far as that 4th playoff spot goes. District 5A, they had the week off, kind of a weird off, so we have no South Oak Cliff time. But 6-5A had some very pivotal games, including a game I was at last night.
How about that one? Terrell takes down Midlothian Heritage. Crandall was hoping to get an undefeated team next week in district play, but they're not. They're getting a 1-loss Heritage team. Crandall had all kinds of problems with Kaufman, but Kaufman is that's a rivalry game. They're going to have their problems there. But
Kaufman's done though.
They are done. They are done.
They're getting the shovel this week.
Ennis is in. Crandall's in. Terrell and Heritage. They're all in. We got our 4 teams pretty much. But let's talk to me about these Terrell Tigers. Both of you guys. I mean, Coach Sedbury's really done a heck of a job with that team.
Well, you were there. Yes, I mean that's a huge win for Terrell there. I mean, I didn't pick that. I know that for sure last night. So, I mean, that's a huge W, and especially on the road.
Right.
To be fair, a little bit, I want to give Midlothian Heritage a little bit of credit. They lost that game. Midlothian Heritage made 3 major mistakes, and Terrell, give them the same credit. They took advantage of it. Second half, Terrell got nothing, like 3 first downs. But when did they get those 3 first downs? That very last 3-minute drive to salt the game away. So I give Terrell all the credit in the road. That's coaching. That is coaching in the face of adversity. They were resilient. Midlothian Heritage made the mistakes. I think I saw our friend Greg Rea gave us the stat that this is the first loss for Midlothian Heritage since Stephenville in 2021.
District loss.
District loss. Yes,
hey, but my question to you is, and I know we're short on time. When you see Terrell, they're going to win their first round playoff game for sure. When you see them against a 3 or 4 5A team, they can't get behind, can they? They've got to go right from the way they play offense. They got to go right from the get, right?
Yep.
They cannot be behind.
No, they can't.
All right, we wanted to learn about Eagle Mountain. We learned that they're not up to Brock's range yet. They're still a good football team, but they ain't playing with Brock.
Nobody is. Big win for Graham. Big win for Mineral Wells.
Amen to that. Going on a 4A Division II, Glen Rose picks up a big win against Godley in that sweet new stadium over there. Hillsborough with the win, and Benbrook takes out Dunbar by a touchdown. Nice little Fort Worth matchup right there.
Springtown.
Okay, who's bullying
anybody want to talk about this 91?
Somebody better write a letter about bullying.
Was the
We
clock
have-
What's
running?
going on in Decatur?
We
Was the
got to
clock
not bury the
running?
lead. This is probably one of the biggest
Yes.
wins for Carter Riverside
Absolutely.
in the last decade. To beat Forest Southwest
Absolutely.
with what they've got going on, this is a program-defining win, a decade-defining win. I think about Coach Murray over there when he was the coach over there, and they've built on that tradition. Big win for Fort Worth Carter Riverside. Got to give them some love.
They got to celebrate 2 days on that one,
Huge
not
win.
just one.
Exactly. Sanger, a big win over Van Alstyne and Cato Millsville. We're going to have next week on the show. They're playing Cairns.
Watch,
We'll see that on the country roads next week. And
watch Sanger. Watch Sanger.
Sanger's looking good right
Sanger
now.
is looking
Good.
really good. They're putting up crazy points.
And boy,
Talk about another bullying claim.
my ranch people.
Man.
Not rough sledding at Standridge. Oh gosh.
I still got to figure out what's going on with Alvarado because remember they've been doing this all year, and then that last week or 2 weeks ago against Glen Rose, all of a sudden we're like, what happened there? And then now they're back to just beating everybody by 70 again.
Right. Good grief. Well, we were 6-4A Division II. I thought we might go to a little 7-4A, but we're going to go to 6-4A Division II. Sunnyvale with a huge win.
Yes.
Big win over Ferris. Canton, that's your – oh, no, it's Commerce that you've adopted. You haven't adopted Canton. Canton with the 62-0 win right there.
I do like Dairy Palace, but unfortunately, also AI generated these numbers a little bit out of order, so we're going 6,
That's
6,
all right.
7, 7 as we're going through. But to get us to 7-4A Division I, where we were at tonight, Ward.
We were at this one, man. And it took one injury to make us wish we weren't at this one, right? We had poor injury to the Sulphur Springs quarterback, Deuce.
First play.
First play of the game.
First
Had to
play.
be taken out, and then that threw the whole game plan out the window, and then that was a wrap from there. Salina what was LJ's last name for Salina? He had a heck of a game. 2 long punt returns, 1 for a touchdown. He got a pick, great diving touchdown catch right in front of me.
Play
I
of the
told him
week
after the
kind of
game.
a thing. I'm excited about that.
I always tell him after the game, I said, when you make these great catches directly in front of me, you're going to be a star because your boy going to put you on TV. I said, you tune in.
Ward,
Sunday
this is my
morning.
first chance to see Salina. They did not look like a state title. And I
They
know they
didn't,
got
did
some
they?
internal stuff going on over there right now, but did you see that specifically?
I
If
did
this was
see
your
that.
snapshot. Does it look like a state championship team?
Not really. Not really. Not really at all. Not at all. He's only going to one receiver, too. He seemed to only go to wide. He threw. Obviously, I just told you he threw a touchdown to LJ. But. All right, let's take a look at some DSD scores here. Pinkston with a big win over Wilmer Hutchins. Carter getting ready to play Kimball next Saturday. And Kimball had to score the last touchdown to beat Lincoln.
Yeah, that surprised me.
Lincoln was up in that game. It felt like the whole game, and they could not hold on. I know Lincoln has gotten better, but it also talks about the heart of the champion for Kimball, that it's hard to beat the champions once you are there. Talk about District 4 3A, and we kept. I saw we had a comment from Cody about District 4 3A. Maybe you can throw that back up there. But Ponder just looks like they've fallen off the face of the earth. Vernon, I think it's Paradise, Vernon, and Peaster right now.
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen Peaster play hardly anybody just because of their schedule, it's one of those things where we got to figure it out. But they kind of remind me a little bit of what Rockwall Heath has looked like. And once they start playing the big dogs, I think they're going to fare pretty well.
Yep. Paradise bounced back. A couple wins after the tough loss to Vernon like a couple weeks back.
How about Granville losing big to Whitney over there?
That's what I'm gonna have to double check on, because that was a complete shocker. Mahay over Grosbeck, West over Maypearl.
Oh, man,
Toller, what is going on with my rattlesnakes over there?
They lost that game early.
They lost that game early. What about Palmer? Palmer, 2 straight
Palmer,
losses.
oh my goodness, things are happening in Palmer, and then Madison losing to Whitesboro as well. We kind of expected that one, but big scores there.
Pilot Point 78-0. A+ account. I know it was questionable 4-1,
Right.
but still, 4-1. Jacksboro big bounce back win over Wichita Falls City View.
And Holiday. Wow.
And there's Malakoff for you.
There they
Malakoff
are.
and
They're
Winsboro
back.
finally look like they're winning because they're not playing Commerce.
Exactly, they're back. They are back. All right, Gunter with another massive win there.
That was not in overtime. I'm willing to bet. Just using a little bit of common sense there.
And Bells with a big win too.
Ran that 37-point play in overtime to pull it out. Tioga with a huge win over White Wright. Wolf City up there.
Woo.
Alfred beating Tom Bean in the shootout.
That is a surprise. Now all of a sudden, this district is 4 deep with you got Wolf City, Tioga, Alvord, and Tom Bean. Tom Bean had a big one over Tioga last week. And you talked about Bosqueville over Valley Mills, Dawson over Itasca, and Axtell and Rio Vista. I guarantee you had some scoring. But this game right here, Ward.
Munster pulls it off. How about that?
Munster.
And that puts me in a 2-game lead over my man Diggsy because I got Duncanville and
I lost
Munster.
to everybody this week because
That's
my
the way
3
it goes,
different picks. I had Midlothian Heritage, I had DeSoto, and I had Lindsay. Nothing.
But
Take us home, Ward.
But what we're not going to lose, we're not going to lose out on your insight, which is happening in 5, 4, 3. Come see the dump in 1 second.